Hey y'all, Bonnie with Dandelion Babywearing, and this is part 2 of my video about why I include the fact that I'm in social work school, that I'm a social worker, peer sports specialist, in with Babywearing, because it seems like those things don't seem connected. But what's being in social work school and even the peer sports specialist training that I took, I would not say that it changed the way that I educate. What I will say is that it gave me language to explain what was really important to me about Babywearing and why I educated in the way that I did. So, we have the NASW Code of Ethics for social workers, includes things like service and social justice, which is why I always worked, and we always worked as a group to make our groups as accessible as possible. The whole point was to get as many people there as we could, to help as many people as we could. There were serious challenges around that when you don't have any money to pay for space and you're just trying to partner with whoever will give you space. But we were always kind of trying to be aware of, like, were we on a bus route? What was the parking like? How far away was it from areas of town? We were trying to put things on different days, different areas, different times of day, all of those sorts of things. So, and then, with the social justice and the cultural humility, throughout the time that I've done this, I've seen and learned more and more and more about the history and the origins of baby wearing. Baby carriers are arguably one of the first tools that humans ever used. This is old stuff. And if you've been to any event that I've done, you've probably heard me say more than once that us middle-class white women did not invent this. And it's the truth. So Ergo didn't invent this. Sakura Bloom didn't invent this. Solly Baby didn't invent this. Americans, Western cultures didn't invent this. This is every culture has its baby wearing traditions, and not in all cultures, but in many, mostly Western cultures, those traditions fell out due to oppressive forces. So things like colonialism, classism, racism created stigma around baby wearing and breastfeeding as well. And it became the thing that poor people and people of color did. So we lost this important knowledge. My grandmother didn't teach my mom, who taught me how to wear. I had to learn it on the internet. So as an educator, it's very important to me that I am instead of teaching something brand new, I am standing in the gap and I am returning information that was lost due to, like I said, oppressive forces, and putting that back into the collective consciousness of caregivers around the world, and making sure that they know the cultural heritage. If they're not familiar with it, making sure that they know that, giving them resources to figure it out, always respecting the cultural traditions of wearing. So, one of the big things that we talk about in social work is dignity and worth of persons, and the importance of human relationships. And that's why, like, you come into my meeting, I'm going to help you. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter what your identities are, what your intersectionality looks like. I'm going to help you. And hopefully you're going to let me snuggle that little baby while you're working on it. So as much as I make sure that all of my stuff is online and is accessible for free, because I want to make sure that it's out there, but I still believe strongly in the connection, the human connection that happens caregiver to caregiver. So I also don't believe in this power dynamic. I'm always trying to flatten that power dynamic between educator and caregiver. I'm always really careful not to educate from a place of, like, on high, the all-knowing expert, So I educate from a place of being a fellow traveler on this road, who's been doing this a little bit longer. You know, I've had a few more kids. They were a little bit older. I've done a lot of research, and here's information for you. I am really big into self-determination, self-efficacy, and empowerment. If you've heard me at all, you've heard me say that baby wearing should mimic the way we hold in arms, and you know how to hold your baby in arms safely. So instinctively, you know whether what you're doing is safe or not. I'm just here to help you figure out which buckle goes into which connector or how to wrap that wrap. But I'm not in your body, you are. So when you come in, when you put baby in, if it feels like it would if you were holding baby in arms, then you're probably okay. And if it doesn't, that doesn't mean you don't know how to do it. It just means you gotta take baby out, try again. Because baby wearing is a skill, because it's not a part of our cultural tradition. So I'm big into integrity and making sure that if we have connections with carrier companies, if we have connections with different things like that, that's all made plain. I prefer not to work directly with the carrier companies just because I want to be able to recommend whatever I think is the best, because there is no best. There's only what works for you, what works for your baby, and what works for your lifestyle, and that could be a plethora of different options. So, and then competence, like letting people know what I don't know. You know, there have been times that I've been in events and somebody wanted to try something I haven't tried, or I knew about something but I didn't know how to do it. So we got on YouTube together and we figured it out. You know, when they had a spotter, when they had somebody who's kind of tried some different stuff before, and we tried to work it out. So, but recognizing where my competence lies, and what I can and can't. There's a lot of things that I don't teach, not because they're unsafe, but because I don't know how to do them safely. And I'm not going to teach you how to do something. I'm not going to be so hubris as to think that I can teach everything. So, you know, and that comes down to a lot of the cultural stuff, because sometimes there's certain things that I still don't know about, and I'm still trying to learn about some things. Just because I don't know how to teach you how to do it doesn't mean it's unsafe. Just means that nobody taught me. So, and then one of the big things that I love is about ethical dilemmas. We talk about ethical dilemmas a lot, because in social work, just like in raising a baby, it's very rare to see the ideal. So like what's going to have most harm? So let's say baby doesn't like to be in the carrier the way I usually teach it, or the way I believe is ideal. If baby refuses to be in that, what's the alternative? Are they not going to be worn at all? So, or do we tweak a little bit? Do we try something different? No, understanding those fundamental safety rules, the safety guidelines really, and we try something different. So really understanding how to work through those ethical dilemmas. Social work has really taught me that. And then things like language and consent. You know, we moved from saying mom to saying caregiver like years ago. It's so ingrained in me now. But that's because we realized that we had dads, we had grandparents, we had nannies who loved these children, want to wear them, want to pour into them, that didn't feel at home in our spaces, and making sure that we made our spaces as welcoming as we possibly could. And then things like consent, like before I touch you and adjust your carrier, I'm going to ask you if that's okay. Hey, do you mind if I touch you? You know, I stop people all the time because their back connector isn't clipped. And I always stop and say, hey, would you like for me to clip that for you? Do you mind if I touch you? So I understand that now. Like, again, social work didn't change the way that I educate, but it gave me language. And it gave me it gave me intentionality around the things that were always super important to me. So thanks for listening. If you got all this way, I'll talk to you later. Bye.